Hello.
What's up, everybody? This is episode 1 intro of who we are and what tools you'll need to go to build a full build first gen Camaro or Firebird. In this series of videos, we will be covering the 67, 68, 69 Camaro and Firebird. I'm just making sure we're rolling.
Looks like we're good.
Going to let it go. This is not like Tech Talk. I don't know why I'm so nervous. I guess because it's not like Tech Talk, because we're not going to be looking at the live chat or anything. Aaron might, but we'll get back to where I was going with this. I'm aMAYSing. We're here at the installation center where we will be building this 69 Camaro and doing this series. This is my wife, aMAYSing. Everybody voted that she is Miss Aaron. So, Juby and Miss Aaron, that's our intro. So, I don't know why I'm so nervous. I know I'm live and I can't mess up. So, if I do, you're gonna call me out on it.
Yeah, let's get to it.
So, we're gonna get to it because we're short on time and we're gonna go ahead and jump in and talk about doing this build and what all it needs. I'm gonna set this down because I like to move my hands. But Aaron is gonna get behind the camera and we're gonna talk about all the things that you need. I might be leaving something out, and if during the video I come across something that I don't have out here, I will mention it. Aaron's getting the camera off. So I guess first thing I want to start with is safety. So safety glasses. Some people, respirator or dust mask, whatever you want to call it. Gloves, not as holy as mine, and welding gloves. I keep these because I wear these the whole time, because dealing with sheet metal you can get cut. And then when I go to weld, I put these on when I'm welding because weld tends to sit on these and burn. So we got the safety out of the way, I believe. Well, hearing protection. These are 3M. They come from Walmart. They're Bluetooth. They work great as far as blocking out sound, but I don't tend to wear these much unless I forget my earbuds at home, because I don't like to have to switch back and forth when I put on my welding hood. You can't wear a welding hood with these. So I choose, like, these are Skull Candy, also Walmart, very cheap. I wear these most of the time, which actually I have Bose, to protect my hearing, because it's a lot of grinding and a lot of noise, a lot of banging. So I don't know why I'm like super nervous about this. It's kind of like we're doing what we do. So I'll start with the jig, I guess. So to begin the project, you're going to need a jig. You can't build a car properly on a rotisserie. You can't build it properly hanging off the lift.
Jack stands.
Jack stands. If I was attempting to build one without a jig, I would probably figure out how to do it on the jack stands before I would the lift or the rotisserie. With this, the series of builds, I kind of take it as like a school. This is, you're getting schooling for free, like college classes for free. Now, I'm not going to give the jig measurements out, but if you want a jig like this to be able to pull your measurements, which a lot of the measurements I pull are off the body actually itself after you build the car, but you need a proper platform to build it on, and this here helps with being able to do rocker heights. If you have a different jig at the house, your rocker heights are going to obviously measure different than mine when I go and read out the rocker heights and what they set at, firewall height if I pull off of my measuring stick. The jig, I'm going to probably sell the plans to it with the list of body parts that we use. The jig price is probably going to be $150. That will be every measurement to build a jig almost identical to this. So if you want that, if you need a jig, then we'll figure that part out later. You can message me, email Aaron, EIRIN at theinstallationcenter.com. I am like super nervous, really. So, or you can message me Facebook, or you can comment on here. And basically that 150 is, you're getting all this, the rest of this for free. I'm going to teach you how to build a car, how to do it properly, all the measurements, everything. So that will be there. There are 2 components that go besides your normal bolts that go with the jig, and I'm not sure yet. My dad might make these and sell them. And the pins. These pins are for locating the frame rails and locating the firewall. So they come in through the bottom and they locate the frame rails, and you'll see it in the video. I'm not going to go into too much depth about the whole process of doing that yet.
I was just showing them.
Then these go into the rear end. They're like spring hangers, and they'll end up going back here on the jig to hold the rear end, to locate the rear of the spring, or the rear of the frame rail. So my dad might market these and sell them, so I'm not 100% sure, but if not, you still can build the car without them. The stick for measuring something level, flat. This is a tram piece off of a frame machine. So next we have a porter power. You don't necessarily have to have the porter power. I very rarely use it. I use it in dressing up issues, and you'll see in the video, might use it, might not. So I wouldn't rush out just yet if you're trying to stay in tune with this video and go buying a porter power right at this moment if you're planning on following along and building. A big clamp. I would say you need a big clamp. I'm not sure where you would buy it, but this is going to help when you pull the floor down and get your frame rails seated. When we start building the floor, you'll see when I use this, and I like different pieces of wood because I don't want to damage my part, so I put wood in between it. Sawhorse, whatever you want to call it, body panel, cart, whatever. You can get these at Harbor Freight. I bought both of mine Harbor Freight. Next I have a small pry bar, flathead screwdriver. I really use this for prying and for working the bottom part of the quarter panel into place. Hardly ever use this, sometimes. Tape, masking tape, any kind. Sometimes you'll see me use these benders. They're for, can't remember what they're called, but bender. Got a belt sander. You can get this at Harbor Freight, Chicago Pneumatic. I've had this in like 4 or 5 years since I started doing this, and it's lasted. I wouldn't get the 80 grit. I would get the 36. No,
we get 80.
I wouldn't get the 36 grit. The 36 grit tears up really quick. The 80 grit works great, and it lasts a long time. An air nozzle, an air chisel if you're cutting down your car. And I'm going to probably start the series off with bringing in a 2nd gen Camaro. Y'all don't hate me. And I'm going to go over techniques of using this and how I grind it. So like I say, I'm not going to go all in depth because I'm trying to get this done. And this
basic overview of tools today.
Overview. So straight grinder. you could get away with an angle grinder, but I would definitely have an angle grinder. Straight grinder and 3-inch cutoff wheels. And I also use a grinding rock sometimes, which is 1/8, or this is a 3/16. So 3/16 grinding rock sometimes.
Again, if you can't find any of these tools, you can message us and we can either help you find them or we can ship them to you.
Yeah. I have a angle grinder, right angle grinder, and then I have Scotch Brite pad with, it's a roll lock, an 80 and a 36. Obviously you need more than just 3. A scribe or a Sharpie for marking. Use the scribe's going to be the best because you'll be able to do a fine-tuned line and be able to tell if your panel moves in certain areas during the build process. You'll see where I show how to mark, especially like marking the hinge areas on the hinges. So a scribe, and you can buy these offline. This is a Midwest Tools MW-A1. Amazon, I think they're like $9. Obviously, you're going to need a tape measure. Razor knife, really only time I use this is when I'm cleaning these down, and I'll show that technique on how to cut these down to keep from throwing this away when the edge wears out. Medallion, this is your OE coat, and this is etch weld primer if you're going to be doing the spot welder. You can do it in plug welds, but that's a whole nother story. Big hammer, I hardly ever use this, but just in case. I do use my rubber hammer. You can get this at Harbor Freight. A dolly, half the time I don't use it, but it's just a body panel dolly. I have another straight, which you can use one with a deburred tool, because sometimes the hinges have to be deburred, and sometimes some of the areas need to be ate out and you can't get in there with the cutter. So a deburr tool. My Martha Stewart, hey Martha,
Love you, Martha.
Martha Stewart hammer. This is like home, but this was a body hammer. It's just a cheap one, and I've been using it since I started here, and I do everything with it. I have actually ground the back of it to work the quarter panel on the Camaro. 9/16 for your door hinges, and 1/2 inch for your trunk, deck lid hinges, and your trunk lock support. I have 1/2 inch bolts with some washers. This is to hold my tail panel up on the braces, and you'll see when I use it. 5/16 sheet metal screws. I have a 5/16 bit and an impact. Impact I would definitely get. Flashlight. Thanks, Albert. I know you got it. You still hadn't admitted it. I have a 3-inch wire wheel. I use this for stripping. Not that kind.
Oh, honey.
Got a 1/8 to work any smaller bit than a 5/16. I use this for pallet drilling, and I'll show y'all the techniques of how I drill out spot welds with this. And a 5/16 drill bit. I'll also show how I, if I can get the camera in there, I'll show how to grind that. I will also show you guys mine. People go out and buy the spot weld bits. I make mine out of drill bit. You could possibly use an end mill, but this is it, and I'll show y'all guys how I grind it too, and I'll show you how I use it. I think I've pretty much got everything on here. Monkey on a stick. It's not a must, but it does come in handy in a lot of areas of the building. You'll see all the places that I use the monkey on a stick.
Is that a shop-made monkey on the stick, or did you purchase it?
No, this is bought. You can buy it off of Amazon as well.
Okay.
And I have a thing trying to get me. I have a old hood prop, deck lid prop you could use just a piece of wood or a piece of metal, but this is one that was given to me by the old shop foreman, and I love it and I won't get rid of it, so don't ask.
You can't have it.
Next is spot welder. Now this is used, you might can find one for $15,000-$20,000. On top of buying this for $15,000 or $20,000, you're gonna need 3-phase electric, and a lot of people don't have that. So this is what I will be using to build it, but I am gonna try my best to explain where I would drill if I was gonna do plug welds, because you can do plug welds, and I'll do some plug welds and show you guys how I do them, and that it is possible to still build the car with plug welds. The next one is this one I've talked about on Tech Talk Tuesday, about a spot welder that is affordable and that will work, and it's a little bit better than the handheld that Harbor Freight sells. This spot welder is the Versa Spot HTP 7000. You can find this for around $800 used on the internet, Facebook Marketplace, places like that. It is big, bulky.
Oh boy.
It is controlled by air. I have used this to weld before. I've welded up a cab with it. So it is usable. Uncle Wes is gonna find out. Different fittings for it. But if you buy this for $800 or buy one for around, if you get one for under $1,000 or $1,000, you're still gonna save money, because by the time you weld with plug welding and grinding and buying those discs and doing all that, you're gonna spend all that money on materials, where this, you're not going to. This runs off of your standard house dryer plug. It is 240, 220, whatever you wanna call it.
But you don't need 3-phase.
Yeah. So you don't need 3-phase to run this. A welder. This is a 180C. It's a little big for what we do. The 140 Lincoln 140C will work. The Harbor Freight ones will work. I've used some of theirs. I would prefer gas. I would say to get a gas, I use 0.25 0.25 wire, 0.0.
It's 2.5 wire. I don't know where the point goes.
0.025. Open it up and look. Oh, you can't. Yes, it is 0.025. Like, what the heck?
It can't be a quarter yet.
Yeah. So 0.025 wire. I wouldn't go any bigger, because you're not going to be doing a whole lot of structural. I would go bigger to a 30, a 0.030 if I was welding my jig together. I have a stool. You'll see I use it to get into the trunk, because with this jig it sits high. So that's pretty much everything that I can think of. I think I have everything laid out here that you'll need to be able to build this car. So
I'm going to take photos of all this as well, and I'll put it on Juby's Facebook page that we just started. So if you want an invite to that page, you can shoot us a message on here, email us, and we'll add you to that Facebook page.
You'll also need a welding hood, and to get all this stuff, you're going to need your wife's purse or your wallet.
Yeah, you're going to need that.
But we figured we would start the intro this way, explaining all the stuff, and probably by the next video I will know more about the whole jig issue and the pins, wherever I did with them, the pins and the back pieces. If you guys would like to purchase those, I can see if my dad wants to make them, and what his price is, and we'll go from there. But like I say, those are not really necessary to do the build. Jig's necessary unless it's small things. So I guess with all that being said and going over all the tools needed, in the next video I am going to explain the cut down process on how to cut down your car and how to remove panels without damaging them, how to drill out spot welds, and my theory on which way to drill versus which way to pull out, so that when your car goes back together you have a better product. So I guess that's it. I don't know how long it ran,
20.
but Erin acts like she can't talk.
20 minutes.
So it ran 20 minutes, which that's a decent time for a video. Now the build process will go an hour when we start building and doing that aspect. We're going to run an hour long. We'll have a timer set up, and after an hour we will shut it down and we will tell y'all guys goodbye, good night, love you, Jesus saves.
He gave it all for us.
Yes, so definitely you need some soap. I am trying to make sure I covered everything that we'll need. So if you have any questions, comment after the live stream. Go back, watch the video, comment, and hit the like, hit the dislike, share, don't share.
Subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live next time.
But if you don't like it, make sure you come back next time so you can hear me talk about you.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. But love you guys, and we'll see you on the next part of the next phase. I think the next part of it will be on Tuesday night. So I think Tuesday night, instead of running Tech Talk, we will be in here and we will be cutting something down, and I will explain how we do it. Love you guys. Jesus loves you, and we'll see you next time.